Good afternoon, virtual visitors. This is Ranger Steve coming to you live from Glacier Bay National Park. We are on one of the park vessels named the Cirrhata, and in the background we have our destination, which is called South Marble Islands. We are 2 miles away from our destination, South Marble Island. And even from this distance, we can hear some of the creatures that live there. So I'm going to be quiet as we record their sounds. And South Marble Island, because it's surrounded by water, is the perfect sanctuary for marine birds and mammals. The marine mammals that we are listening to, stellar sea lions, use this as a safe place to rest, and if they get hungry, they'll just dive into the water and get some of the fish in these productive waters. For the marine birds, though, this is an important habitat for their nests. Well, here we are at South Marble Island, and to prepare you for some of the discoveries, I would like to talk about how to identify some of the major bird populations that we see here. Now, we do have two different gull species. We have the glaucous winged gull, and that's the larger of the two gull species that we see on South Marble Island. They are usually located up on the top of these dome rocks. And then we have the more numerous, smaller species of gull known as a black-legged kittiwake. They like to nest lower down on the rocks, and we'll often see huge flocks of them when they get excited in this area. Another species that we will be looking for is the tufted puffin. Now, the tufted puffin is about a football-sized bird. It is mostly all black. It does have a white face, but their identifying features, it has this bright, big orange bill, and they also have these beautiful golden plumes that they grow in the nesting season. And the tufted puffin, they are unusual among birds in that they will dig a burrow in some of the soil areas on South Marble Island, and in the bottom of the burrow is where they will locate their nest or their egg, and that's where they will raise their young. One bird that is very exciting for myself personally is the marbled murrelet. They live in these waters, find it very productive, but they don't nest on South Marble Island. Where do they nest? They nest by the city of Juneau. So they fly from Juneau all the ways here to capture fish, and then they'll fly all the ways back to feed their young. Juneau is 50 air miles away from us, so that is a pretty amazing feat for a very small bird to be dedicated to its young and to its nest site. Other bird species that we are looking for is the Pelagic Cormorant, and these are long-necked all black birds, and sometimes they'll have their wings stretched out to dry them in the sun. They will dive deep into the water to catch fish, and they will also nest on South Marble Island. And they usually nest lower down on the rocks. Another bird that we will look out for is the pigeon guillemot. The pigeon guillemot is about the same size as the tufted puffin. It is mostly black, but it does have some white on its wings. But another key characteristic of the pigeon guillemot, it has these bright red feet during the nesting season. And we will see those here at South Marble Island. even though we're in Alaska and we see a lot of stellar sea lions, we do occasionally see the California sea lion, and we are probably at the northern limit of its range. But we do have male California sea lions here. They are identified because they will have this knob on their forehead, identifying them differently than the stellar sea lions. And South Marble Island is a great location to be on the lookout for this unusual sighting. Another marine mammal that calls Glacier Bay its home during the summer months is the humpback whale. And we will often see them around South Marble Island. I'd see a few blows off in the distance. And when they're coming up to the surface, they will often have 2 or 3 breaths on the surface. And what they're doing is they're reoxygenating their blood. They're getting their blood cells full of oxygen, and then eventually, after about 3 or 4 blows, they will come up to the surface, take a deep breath, and then they will get ready to dive. And that's when you'll see them bring their flukes out of the water, and that indicates to us that they are going deep, and they will dive, and they'll be underwater for about 5 to 8 minutes after we see that. Well, that concludes our visit to Glacier Bay, South Marble Island. I hope you had a great visit. I sure did, and I'd like to see you back in a couple of weeks.